morning. So last night, our glorious governor returned home to a triumphant welcome at Egan High School, which I'm still not sure why high schools and other schools are willing to just open their doors to political rallies. Both sides. Can we stay down the middle here, please? But our glorious governor, Governor Tim Walz, returned home after 100 and some days as the vice presidential nominee for Kamala Harris. Not that glorious. Not that glorious. Comes back after showing the nation what many of us in Minnesota had already known and had known for a long time. That he is a radical leftist. A radical leftist who made Kamala Harris look like she was almost a centrist. In his speech, in front of a crowd of probably many, many sycophants and bureaucratic bookworms, he touted the record of Minnesota. He touted the record of Minnesota and how we have, quote-unquote, progressed. In his speech, he said that he would take the other side at their word, and that if they believed in states' rights, he would take them at that word. Well, our side does believe in states' rights, so there's nothing to worry about. Minnesota can be as twisted as it has become. In Governor Walz's tenure here in Minnesota, he has radically transformed the state from a middle-of-the-road, Midwest, Democrat, sensible government to a left-wing radical government, and I do mean radical. There's very few states in the Union where it's allowed for young children without parental supervision and or permission to have that care. As Rush would say, a chop a dick off of me or a sew a dick onto me. So much so that the state itself will advocate for the child if it were to come here and express those desires. The state has also, this is obviously less, what would the word be? Urgent to repeal, has also made state-paid school lunches, which is just a burden on the taxpayers. I do use the word burden on purpose because there is no such thing as a free lunch. And every single educator in the state seems to want to use the term free lunch every time it's spoken. Thank God my kids have graduated. Simple things like creating the office to regulate cannabis in this state has become a cluster. It's now infested with DEI and diversity hires all over the place. The tax burden in this state is absolutely unreal. If you live in the Twin Cities, in the city of St. Paul, I believe that your sales tax is 10%. This does not include your property tax or your state income tax or any other tax. The state has spent billions of dollars on boondoggle projects such as building a state office complex close to the state capitol, because in the city of St. Paul there are no offices that could possibly be rented for much less than $1 billion. He governs basically 10 counties out of the 87 counties of Minnesota. Those 10 counties are essentially the Twin Cities metropolitan area and St. Louis County in northern Minnesota, known for its mining and, we'll just say, unions in a big way. So in his triumphant return last night, in his speech, he said that he would always want to protect the progress made here in Minnesota. As an unwilling Minnesotan, at this point I am unwilling, I would not call what he has done in the state progress. I would call what he has done to be absolutely destructive. Those are just some of the things. That doesn't even get into the George Floyd, into the Summer of Love, which all started here in Minnesota because of Governor Walz and his unwillingness to do what was necessary to stop the riots at the time. They were not mostly peaceful protests. Obviously, most of you saw it on the news, but as somebody who lives in this state and does business in the Twin Cities, I can tell you that there was no mostly peaceful about it. And his refusal to put the hammer down is what caused the entire nation to erupt. I'm actually going to take a minute here and I'm going to give part of what I think actually happened here. Mayor Fry and Governor Walz, who are completely on the side of those who are rioting and destroying the police precinct and burning down the city of Minneapolis, had no issue at all, telling the Minneapolis Police Department to run. I'm not a parade-waving, flag-carrying fan of the Minneapolis Police Department, but what I can tell you is, based on history, when an army runs from a besiegement, they lose. This is a historical fact. The 3rd Precinct in Minneapolis was besieged by rioters. They were under siege. The correct answer was, we are not leaving. We are the police. We will always be here. Reinforcements are coming for us. And then we're coming to get you. Instead, they ran. Not only did they run, they ran on national television for the entire world to see. Governor Walz and Mayor Fry made it possible for the entire world to see the police flee, run in fear. The next night, the entire nation erupted. This is not an exaggeration. It's been a long time coming, and the wonderful documentary from Alpha News, I think it's the burning of Minneapolis. I wish I remembered the title of it right here. A beautiful and well-made documentary about the inside story about that. Really kind of shines a light on it. It doesn't cast the blame as straight up as I do on Mayor Fry and Governor Walz for literally billions of dollars of property being damaged and lost, and many, many lives lost during the Summer of Love. That in itself, his reaction to the riots, disqualified him from being president. No less his fiscal irresponsibility and his social leftism. I was going to say communism, but we can't say that quite yet. But yeah, upon his glorious return and his triumphant speech, Governor Walz has returned to Minnesota to do what? More damage? Not sure what more he could possibly do. Those feel like really bad final words. What could possibly go wrong? Stay sour.